3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Welcome to Mission Control, Peralta Design's podcast on all things branding and digital marketing. Since 2009, Peralta Design has launched hundreds of brands with award-winning identities and websites. Join our hosts Ramon and Jorge as they use decades of combined experience to tackle topics with past clients, industry partners, and the rest of the PD crew. At Peralta Design, we launch brands. But for now, let's launch right into this episode of Mission Control.
All right, everybody, welcome to Mission Control. This is Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. And Mission Control is our podcast featuring everything marketing, branding, tech. And today, on today's show, I have my trusty co-host, Jorge Pezo Candelario.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jorge Pezo Candelario, and I'm the Director of Web Development here at Peralta Design.
Excellent. And it's good to have you on the show. I know that the last couple of shows we've had the whole team on here, and today we kind of brought it back down to our roots, and we're looking forward to having some guests join us in some of our upcoming episodes. But we wanted to kind of focus this episode on this whole concept of the topic of reopening business, specifically. We have locations in Florida and Connecticut, but we're headquartered in Connecticut, and we wanted to kind of talk about this idea of reopening PD, PD HQ, and what that looks like, and just talk about in general what some of the larger companies are doing, and what some of the other smaller businesses are doing around the state as we reopen, because there are parts of the country, obviously, right, that they're starting to reopen, and people are keeping an eye on the cases of COVID and whether they're going up in places like Florida and Texas, where many places people are just kind of carrying on like it's business as usual.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting looking at the data. It's a different in a case-by-case basis. It has a lot to do with population and kind of how it all got started in that state and what measures were taken and when. So I feel like every state has a unique situation, even for the surrounding states. For us, I mean, we're looking to get started and get opening, in the next week, essentially, and then here in Connecticut, and then we're looking at other surrounding states. Massachusetts has pushed back some. Florida just reopened yesterday, and it seems like the public is having a different reaction. Just from hearing. Kind of the boots on the ground reports from folks down in Florida, it sounds like people were pretty anxious to get back open, and it went from the roads being almost empty to we went right back to traffic at rush hour.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was on the phone this weekend with Jarvis, our partner, our friend, our client, our mentor, our advisor, from Be the Giraffe fame. He's down in Texas, and he was walking, multitasking, and we were talking about, my upcoming book, and, he's written a ton of books, and he's walking by coffee shops in Texas, and he was just saying people were in there just normal, no masks, businesses were opening. And in some parts of the country, people just aren't even following the standard protocol. And he, him being there and, being of a high IQ, was of the mindset, I'm not going in there. It's not safe to go in there. And he recently lost his dad, and he was really careful with him and keeping a mask on him during those last days. And it's just people are reacting differently. We're watching the news. We're seeing people, protesting. It's a very controversial topic. I did a segment for today's show that hasn't aired yet because it was very controversial. It's about the reopening and what are we doing at PD. And as you guys know, the governor here in Connecticut, he came out with this decree that he was going to open up with these four segments of business, right? So it was like professional services, it was restaurants, it was beauty and hair salons. There was one more segment, I can't think of it right now, but they had these stipulations anyway with how to open. And there's this process that changes on a daily basis. I'm wearing the business owner hat right now. We're supposed to self-certify. We're supposed to go on a website and make sure that we're doing all these things, part of which is, making sure that people are 6 feet apart in the office. Offices can return, professional services like ours can return with 50% capacity. So for us, a team of 8, we can come back with 4 of us, which we plan on doing. And we want to do it safely. So the protocols are, we have to provide PPEs for the team to use. People need to have access to hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes. We're going to ramp up our cleaning efforts. We're going to have a weekly cleaning service come in for some disinfecting. So we're trying to do these things, and obviously for the foreseeable future, no client meetings will take place on site. We're going to continue to do those virtual, and no visitors. And working with our partner here in town, Modern Plastics, we've put in an order for 3 large, like 6 feet by 2 feet, plexiglass dividers. To put we're going to put one at the front desk. So Fernanda's going to be behind that. It's going to have the little cutout underneath, like a bank teller, so you can pass her things. But she's going to be kind of, in case we got that UPS guy or the mailman or somebody comes in unexpectedly, she can feel safe, because this is really about keeping our team safe. We're still working to flatten the curve. All of these, measures are to reduce the spread of COVID, which we don't have a vaccine for yet. And then the other 2 barriers, if you will, are going to be in the bullpen area. So where you guys, where the web team sits, those desks are going to have barriers. And then Danny and Steve, who are sharing an office temporarily anyway, they're going to be split up so that everybody will be in their own space for the opening, and we're just going to keep an eye on things. Safety first. That's the rule of the day. I know that we have team members that are anxious to get back in the office, and I'm sure that's the same with other service industries. And what are you hearing, Jorge? Like, what other things could we be doing to make the team feel safe besides the measures that are outlined for us and some of the things that we're doing on our own?
It's just comforting to know that we're taking as many steps as actively possible that we can take into account. I think the biggest thing is that there's still so much unknown, right. And I think that's what you have to contend with, right? You hear reports about how at the beginning of this whole thing, children didn't seem to be affected at all, or a very low percentage. And now all of a sudden in New York, you're seeing this rash of inflammatory disease that, they didn't get any of the primary symptoms, but that becomes a thing. So now it becomes, am I bringing that home to my kids? Does that become a concern? I think that doing as much as we possibly can in the office, but also really good just to know that, we work in a building who is also ramping up their efforts. Restricting how much, restricting the number of people that can even be on a floor, mandating masks. How many people can be in an elevator, changing the in their HVAC systems, changing the filters out to be more, sanitation minded. So that definitely helps give some peace of mind. But ultimately, until, we know more, until we have the vaccine, I think that some people are going to be wary about it. Until there's that extra peace of mind. But it definitely helps to hear, just those things, and that the effort is being made. And it's a little unfortunate because it definitely changes the energy. When you're used to working in an open space environment, and that's become very kind of, in our industry, this has been kind of become this new popular model. So having to change that and reverse course is just part of the necessity. But it's just good to know that even given that the efforts are being made across the board.
Yeah, I've been going into the office frequently to check mail and water the plants and things, and Cinto, our management company, they're doing a great job with, and the signage is all being done by by Minuteman Press of Shelton and Harry and his team, and they've put signs in the lobby. There are stickers on the floor that tell you how far where to stand. The elevators all have these like funky little circles in the corners where you should be standing. So it's four at a time, maximum capacity. So the reality is that, my sister's is a nurse. She's a nurse, at Rhode Island Hospital. She's on the front lines. She's got a baby daughter at home, and her husband is also a first responder, and they're going to work and they're coming home and they're not spreading and they're not catching, knock on wood, this virus because they're taking precautions. She tells me their routine when they get home is before they walk in the house, between the garage and the house, they just drop all their clothes, throw them in the wash, and then they go take a shower, and then they go and start touching things and play with their kids and everything. And it's like, we're going to have to make those kind of changes in our homes as we go in and out, because all of our first responders that are out there, they're doing that. They're taking measures to figure out what are some of the things we can do to stop the spread. And I think somewhere along the line, the messaging, the marketing around this and the branding went from, flatten the curve to stay home, stay safe. And people now are going to have to start easing out. As they ease back into the workplace, they're going to ease out of this stay home, stay safe. It is safe to go out. You're flattening the curve if you take these precautions, and that's the kind of thing that we think other businesses can employ as part of their strategy, because it's the perception you want, especially these retail shops. Like I think of like Marks of Design, where they rely on foot traffic. Even Minuteman Press, they rely on foot traffic. They're retail, so they need people to come in. And with restaurants, they're allowing them to open. The smart ones are surviving with curbside, but they're allowing them to open with the outdoor seating. That's going to be fun to see some of these locations that don't currently have patios retrofit their parking lots probably. Even
locally, it's great to see businesses here in the Valley just go and say, okay, we're going to expand our outdoor efforts as much as possible, onto the sidewalk, like you said, onto the parking lot, trying to innovate and get that as much as possible. There's so many strategies that I think it's really forcing people to adapt to what this new normal is going to be and how they can find different methods of success there. I mean, and it's also interesting how that the reopening is tied to social media. I'm watching some of my favorite restaurants post on Instagram that they're going to be doing, they're kind of going to be showing their specials outside. So you'll be able to kind of see what's going on there, and it's going to open that up. I think everything that we know makes it so that I think that gives people some peace of mind too, where, being outdoors, I think is going to tie in well with the success of business ramping up a bit, because you're going to have that flexibility. The weather is really helping folks get more innovative there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited for our PD masks that just came in, and we're going to be doing a social campaign to get those out. And obviously, we'll provide them for our friends and families and clients. And that's going to be part of our attire, coming in and out, going to those common areas in the building. And I think businesses are going to see that. And a friend of ours, Fabian Durango, I just connected him to Bing and Modern Plastics, because he has 5 locations for his insurance company, and they've been working remotely as we have, and they're going to be ordering quite a bit of those plexiglass dividers and things that'll help the perception of employees feeling safer and clients coming in feeling safer. And really, the real big strategy to really, pound the pavement with is just continue to communicate what new measures are you taking to make people feel safe. And I do want to talk about, though, because it's all over the news, like Twitter, they just came out, their CEO is like, employees can work from home forever, and you're seeing like other big companies, Facebook. You mentioned Deloitte, right? Deloitte is doing something with their employees where you're saying through the end of the year they're working from home.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, until at least next year, at least rather to the end of this year, they've kind of given people that heads up. They kind of suffered the loss of one of their executives pretty early on to COVID, and I think they made it so, hey, given the nature of our business, we can allow this. We can preserve our workforce. Having lost a big decision maker early on, I think made that change for them.
Yeah, and I think from our standpoint, it's kind of it's not fair to compare like small businesses with companies like Facebook and Twitter and what they're doing. I think it's great from it's an example of brands taking a social cause, by the horns and saying, hey, we're going to lead the way. Like that's great for their brand. Like my son literally just texted me the Twitter CEO, article link. And it's like, that's great. But look, I've been to some of these places. You and I were in Chicago. We went to the Facebook offices there. And these places are just like insane. They have gourmet kitchens. They have square footage that, they'll have 100 square feet with a pillow in the middle of the floor, and windows from the floor to the ceiling. And, it's investor money. It's, these businesses are operating at huge profit margins. For them, honestly, for a Twitter or a Facebook to say you guys can keep working from home indefinitely, it would be a huge cost savings for them to not have to feed those people when they have, gourmet chefs cooking every day for all of their employees. But for like the mom and pops, the small businesses, where the team members are wearing multiple hats, it's a little bit unrealistic to think that an insurance company or a retail store is just going to say, yeah, you guys can work from home forever, because even though we're getting by, we made a pretty seamless transition based on our industry and what we do. I don't think it translates well to a lot of other businesses that can do that. And you got to remember that when Twitter says this is not like, this is like for their coders. This is for the folks that, don't have a lot of interaction with clients. There are certain job descriptions that I think personally align better with remote work. Like if you can work, do your thing, and you're not in touch with people, you don't have to see people, then God bless you. Then you can work from home indefinitely. But I think there'll always be the folks that collaborate, that need to deal with people, that need to interact, that provide customer service. I mean, you try calling a company now, a mortgage company, a bank, or any kind of company that deals with customer service, and they'll just let you know, like, due to COVID, our wait time is longer, our attentiveness is, our response time is longer. Because while you can do some jobs remotely, I don't think you can realistically say you can do everything remotely. And I think, while I agree these are great examples, and we definitely want to promote safety first, I think it's unrealistic to kind of apply, much like you wouldn't expect a small mom and pop to feed their entire staff with a gourmet chef every day. We can't also expect these mom and pops to just say, hey, everybody can work from home forever, like a Twitter is doing.
Yeah, it's not sustainable for a lot of these businesses, but I think a lot of opportunity is going to come from innovation, from being able to innovate how you service individuals. Where we have, a client of ours who didn't have an online ordering system is now in the process of putting that together with our help. Even other clients of ours whose whole business is to go out to people's homes, prioritizing work that has to be done outside, or, setting up, giving their clients guidelines in how, we intend to work safely. That puts people's mind at ease, or, scheduling things so that way, hey, while you're out of the house is when we'll do the work, potentially. So I think there has to be that level of adapting. And I also think that it's adapting to more and varied revenue streams on top of whatever it is that you were currently doing. Because the reality is that business is only going to come back to a certain percentage just due to all the different things that are going on. So I think it's important to note that it's not just going to be about reopening. It's about reopening and then what? That's the important part that I think people need to be aware of. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see a lot of innovation come out of this that will remain. New verticals and new products for many of our clients and many of the small businesses that are out there. And, much like 9/11 changed, air travel, forever, I think we're going to see that this pandemic, there may be, I'm looking at the silver linings. I mean, if it means that we're all going to be more aware of cleanliness and disinfecting our workstations and spending more time with family and appreciating what's important and, leveraging technology more than we used to be. I mean, I think these are all good things. And I think we're going to see a lot of new businesses that are just born out of necessity. I mean, startups that are going to be centered around delivery and finding other ways to market their wares to folks that will continue to prefer to stay home. I think we're going to see more staycation opportunities. We're going to see people investing more in their surroundings versus always traveling. I think there are a lot of benefits to this, and of course we're going to keep an eye on things with what the governor is saying, with what the rates are in other states. We can look at other countries as well to see. Like Sweden is really taking more of a herd immunity approach, where they're not making as many changes as some other countries have, and then we're looking to see what's going on in places like China and Asia and Italy, and see how has reopening affected things, and of course pray and hope that we get a vaccine and that helps alleviate some of this. But as they say, even if there is a vaccine, we should be prepared for more of these kind of pandemics to come in the future. So I think a lot of the changes we're seeing, a lot of the ways that we're going to be reopening, a lot of the things that we're learning, I think these are going to be permanent changes that don't necessarily all have to be bad. I guess that's my overall sentiment.
Definitely. I think we'll end up in a society that's overall healthier because we're more conscious of the germs that we're spreading. I think that people will be more open to that, and that seasonal flu that hits the office and that's going around, I think we'll see less of that overall. I think we'll see, so that ultimately is going to open up productivity, like you said, looking at the silver linings there. I think we'll end up with all of these innovations that end up doing that. And some people are being really crafty. Saw this one business who put up shower curtains between the booths in the restaurant to kind of be a cost-effective way of meeting their state guidelines. So as we see that American ingenuity locally, nationwide, it's really kind of pulling those extra bits out, and I'm really hoping that we can get back to going to a ball game and going to a festival, a concert, even things in our local park here. Looking forward to that big time. So as we approach looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're social creatures, and I think we're very innovative, and we'll figure it out. I think when you were talking about the shower curtains, I had seen something in a restaurant where they just had almost like lofts above each table, where you had a second table seating, but it was kind of staggered above. So you kind of, if you have a high ceiling, you could stagger tables where one party has to just climb up a set of stairs, and it helped out with the social distancing. So I think we're going to continue to see human ingenuity, and we're social. We love being around each other. I don't think that's going to go away. We're just going to do it smarter. This has been great. I mean, I'm really excited about the reopening. I think many on our team are excited about coming back to the office. We're going to take a very cautionary approach. We're going to make sure that we're implementing as many safety measures as we can. We encourage other business owners to do the same thing. I also encourage business owners to document and share and post about those changes that they're making, and making sure they stay on the radar, not just from a marketing standpoint of what their business is all about, but just to show that they're on top of safety, that safety is a priority, and that they're positive. And I still believe in the laws of attraction. I still think that we can put our best foot forward and stay positive and continue to look at the silver lining. And I like to think that the Roaring '20s came out after the flu in 1918, and I do believe the pendulum swings in both ways. And although we're going through a really rough time right now, the pendulum is going to swing back, and I anticipate tremendous growth and tremendous abundance as we rise out of this. And this is the time now to strategize on that reopening, on that rebuilding, on relaunching or launching something new, so that you can be ready. Because I do believe that we're going to come out of this stronger than we were before. So on that note, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on our podcast here, Mission Control. And I'd like to thank Jorge and the rest of the team for helping putting this together. This is Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.
Thank you for taking this journey with us. To learn more about Peralta Design and our work, go to www.peraltadesign.com and subscribe to keep up with the crew.